Hi everyone, Ayin here. Thank you for being here on my podcast. I truly appreciate you guys. So we're going to continue the conversation on how family dynamics can build our dynasty or can destroy our dynasty. And we want to address today, I would like to address with all of you this whole energy around compassion and the importance of being in this exchange with our family members and with those who work with us and for us, of love, right? Of being in this energy of compassion, of elevation, of seeing the good in others and seeing um, how they can improve, right? Because there's always room for improvement, but without criticism and judgment. It's important because when we are looking at building a business, building a family office, family business, working for a firm, a company, and being the leaders of a staff or team, and not realizing that when we are in that energy of criticism and judgment and only see the flawed aspects of that person, we're not really giving them an opportunity to become better. We're only giving them the opportunity to fail. And there's no way that you can build something great, something beautiful, something massive, something that is going to live throughout different generations when you're constantly pointing out the negative, when you're constantly belittling somebody because you think that they're going to learn because I'm just going to put them down, and that doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. That's not human behavior. Human behavior, even little children, like when we're talking to them, if we're yelling at them, they're not even paying attention. 9 times out of 10, you ask a small child after you yelled at them and gave them all sorts of orders, when you ask them, what did mommy or daddy say? They're going to say, I don't know. Like, I have no idea what you are screaming about, because there's a tendency that we shut down when somebody is being hurtful or harmful, or it feels that it's being hurtful or harmful to us. And so when we have these conversations with our staff, or we're bringing in the next generation of our kids into our businesses and into our family office space, it is so important that judgment and criticism be avoided at all cost, right? You want to be able to invite them to come in and have a conversation with you or ask questions. Training is very important, right? Just because they're your kid and they've been around this firm for so many years doesn't mean that they know the business. I know when I stepped into the family business with my father, I had no idea, how to build a pool. I knew how to sell, and I knew how to sell anything, but I didn't know how to build a pool. And so for me, it was very important to understand and learn how pools are built, how swimming pools are built. And that just gave me so much power, right? And so much ammunition to go out and sell these swimming pools to builders and to residences and for commercial spaces, because I knew the brand, I knew the product inside out. And so when you're bringing in your family members, just because they're family, and that's typically what happens, is that the lines are so blurred that we have this notion, this idea that somehow they know, they've been around long enough, they've heard me talk about this time and time again, so therefore they need to and they have to know how to sell real estate, right? Because that's all I've talked about for 20 years in front of them. Doesn't work like that. So it is all about bringing them in with so much respect, right? And I go back to the word respect because I feel that it should be in every mission statement for every business, is the importance of respect of the employees, the respect of the staff, the respect. Doesn't matter if they're part of your executive team, they also are relying on and depending on respect, right? Because respect is that one thing that we feel when we are receiving that, where we become part of something. And so therefore, we want our contribution to matter. And so the when we're speaking about this whole aspect of bringing them in, how do I make that invitation? How do I present this opportunity, right? And it is an opportunity. They also have the opportunity, right? And they also have their decision to be part of this or not be part of this. And then at that point, I believe that it's very important for you to accept that they don't want to be part of this, yet they can't just be receiving and collecting funds for not doing anything because there's no exchange there. And 9 times out of 10, somebody who's just collecting a paycheck for not doing anything typically go into a very deep depression, right? And they begin to use substances to numb themselves, which I've spoken about in other videos. However, before we actually go into what that is, it's because everybody has to feel important. It's important for everyone to find their purpose, their passion, what lights them up. And so in these cases, what I recommend is to sit down with that individual and find out more about what they're passionate about, what they love. And it's interesting because in other family offices, what we've been able to do is open up different verticals of the family office, which is still expanding the family office, and allow that child, that next generation kid, that adult, to step into this new vertical. And it could be something, maybe they're very compassionate individuals and they would love to have a foundation or be part of a foundation or create a foundation that is going to help wildlife, for example. And that would become their vertical, right? And so now you've given them a purpose to be part of your firm, to be part of your family office, and handle another vertical of the business, right? Perhaps there's some of your kids that are creative, right? And they're artistic. And so maybe one of them wants to open up a vertical that has to do with renovating art pieces, right? So they work directly maybe with museums, or they work directly with art exhibits, or places where they exhibit art. And so it's giving them a desire to be part of your firm while at the same time you are expanding, right? You have different verticals going on now, different ways of contributing and sharing, different ways of making money, and expanding the wealth of your family and family office, so that they are also part of this legacy building machine that you have created, right? And the reason why respect is so important is because you're seeing them and they're seeing you as someone that they want to help, they want to be part of this with you, right? So they're actually volunteering. You're not pulling them, you're volunteering to bring them, they're volunteering to be part of this. And you will also feel so amazingly empowered and powerful that your kids are recognizing what you have built, right? Because what we feel as the adults or as the parents to our children is that just like we want to see in them all the greatness, right? And we want them to see the greatness we see in them. They also bring us the same and reciprocate by seeing the greatness in us and in what we have built. And so this reciprocity of love, compassion, admiration, how you've inspired them and how now they're inspiring you, this beautiful exchange is a high frequency. And so at times I will speak into the frequency, the dynasty frequency. And this is exactly what I'm referring to, is how you're both collaborating to expand each other, to really help each other understand each other without losing each other in this business, right? In this family office, in this firm, in this capitalization of money and funds and the distribution. And so imagine that now you're not only helping your child, but you are saving them from a life of misery and a life of feeling and being in that depressed energy where they feel like they don't have a way to contribute to this wealth, and they're just going to accumulate or take your money without there being an exchange. So you're also teaching them the importance of the exchange that happens, because money is energy, the exchange that is happening for the exchange of this money that's being paid to them, but it's the money that they're earning, right? Earning from their heart, from what they're passionate about. And imagine what that's going to do to your family office when, instead of everybody looking outside, everybody is looking inside. Okay, this is my participation. This is the vertical that I'm going to handle. This is the way that I can give back. This is the way that I am part of this legacy that is being built up by my family. And now all of a sudden, the family office is not just yours because you're the founder, or the generations that came before you, but because they are feeling like this is their family office as well. And when we own something, or we believe and feel that we're part of something, guess what? We want it to thrive. We want it to succeed. We want it to expand. We want it to blow up. And that's the energy that I'm going to encourage you all to continue in these conversations with your family members, to bring that energy of respect, to be able to see them for who they are today, not who they used to be, and to bring in this energy of, okay, what do you love? What lights you up when you're having a conversation with someone, and they touch a topic that you love to talk about, right? And you know it because you can talk for days about the same thing, and you don't get exhausted, you're not tired, like it just elevates you. You love talking about this and it lights you up. That's passion, right? That's something that comes from the heart. That's not something that you're thinking about. You're not scripting. Oh, it's got to, okay, let me say this line and then this line and then this line. It's like, no, it's just coming from your soul. Like you're just speaking. And that is how you've built this beautiful business for your family to be able to live a beautiful life. And listen, we know that it's funny, right? And that's not what I'm referring to, because I feel that money there's so many misconceptions out there, right? And we can think of money as something bad and evil. But the reality is that we live in a world where money buys things, right? But it's not about accumulation, it buys experiences. It buys us the opportunities to invest in things that will help us to form this family office and have this generational wealth live beyond us. So we're not talking about this exchange of money being something bad. We're talking about it as an opportunity for expansion to happen for every member of your family. And what's so beautiful when your kids are stepping into your family office and your family businesses, they're also learning the importance of now teaching and training their kids to come in much earlier than maybe you pulled in your kids, so that it becomes a family tradition that the kids in the family also learn the importance of making money, saving money, growing money, protecting money, compounding wealth, right? All of these different instructions that perhaps you didn't give to your kids because maybe it was a windfall. You sold a business and they were already adults, and that was perfect, and you received, and now you're structuring yourself as a family office, or you're structuring your family business. But what is so beautiful is that not only does the wealth get passed down, but also all of these other beautiful attributes and the opportunities that you gave to your kids, that they're going to give to their kids, your grandchildren and great grandchildren, and so on, because it becomes the family dynamic, right? That elevating each other and contributing to this business, this firm, this family office is how we come together as a family. And being able to have these very powerful conversations around respect, holding this higher consciousness, holding this dynasty frequency that is going to continue on, not only from the wealth standpoint, but also from the family dynamic standpoint. And so it's interesting because a lot of these family dynamic components I have written out in my trust, right? These are things that I would love for my heirs to receive and understand what I was on to, and the importance of teaching my own family that the dynamics between us is going to elevate all of us, and it's going to continue to help us all prosper and have a life of wealth and abundance in all the areas of our life, right? Not just money, but in all of the areas of our life. And so I want that to be passed down and passed along to my heirs as well. So with that information, I also wanted to reiterate today is when you're sharing from this expansion of your thoughts, of your heart, into and pouring into your kids and into your family members, and even the people that you start to collect that are and become part of your family members of your firm, then there's also this energy of freedom that happens, because now the energy of resistance and opposition is gone, and you're running a firm based on it feeling seamless and flow. If that transaction didn't come through, it doesn't matter. That's the way it was supposed to be. If that transaction did close and that's aligned with our business, with our mission, our vision, and it starts to elevate and expand even the people that you work with, the firms that you work with, the people that are either investing in what you've created, or you're an investor in something they've created. This collaboration is now coming from an energy that is aligned, right? Because when it's in flow, it's aligned. And not only does that mean it's aligned, but then it also tells you that the values that you hold for yourself and your family are similar to the values that they hold for their firm and their family. And so a lot of times we get asked to be part of a multi-family office. And we had attempted that a few years ago, and that was definitely not our thing. And the reason for that was that we realized that obviously family dynamics are all different, and how people view running a family office is different, or running a business is different. But one of the foundational aspects of our family office is that it must come with the energy of integrity, of trust, of transparency. And we haven't found that in other family offices, or at least the family office that we were looking to partner with. And so as a family office or family business, I'm going to also encourage you to make sure that if you're partnering with other firms, or you're partnering with other investors or other family offices, to ensure that they hold your values, that your values that are key to you and your family are also the values that are aligned with them, so that there's not that chaos that starts to formulate when one family office structures their business and does business one way and the other one doesn't, or they can't respect that transparency and integrity is important for you, and for them it really doesn't matter, because they could totally just go behind your back and start talking to some of your connections, and circumvent you, and that's just the way that they do business, and that's fine. But it's not in alignment with you and yours, so that your family office is kept impeccable and clean from that toxicity and that taintedness, which again is energy, right? You want to make sure that you keep this elevated dynasty frequency nice and clean for you, your family, and for all those that partake in your family business and family office. So thanks again all for showing up here today. I hope this has been helpful. I will be back with some more information. Have yourselves a great day and see you soon. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.